So I was gonna stop and not do any more, but this is just really fun, so I'm gonna keep going. I should do this always when I drive, like, unless someone's with me that doesn't want to die, like, man, this is really fun. Okay, so, what's next? Next is the elevator scap. You guys have muscles of the pectoral, or biceps? I think you have pecs. Oh, that's a long one though. Okay, I'll do biceps right now. It's gonna be a short video. Alright, so next you have biceps. So biceps muscle, we've talked about this a little bit at various points already. Remember, there's two heads, right? This is a muscle. Both heads are parallel with each other, relatively. Okay, so they're combined together at the muscle belly. Okay, this is the muscle, you know, most people have heard of the biceps, right? This is the gym bro muscle, right? Flexing the guns. The big arm muscle right on the front of your upper arm, right? When people think about muscles are flexing, this is what you flex, right? Usually. Okay? Yeah, so two heads, muscle bone in the middle, and remember, because there's two heads, the tendons at the proximal portion are going to be separate. Okay, so we've already talked about how there's going to be a long head. So this muscle is going to be broken up into a long and a short head. So the long head is going to move superiorly, okay, right, and go through the, which groove in the shoulder? Intertubercular groove, right, or bicipital groove. So intertubercular, between the tubercles, greater and lesser tubercle, right? What ligament goes over top of that? Well, flash review. The transverse humeral ligament, right? Transverse humeral, across the humerus, right? Keeps it in that groove. So the long head goes through that groove, then goes underneath the acromion. It goes into the shoulder capsule, right? So now it's interarticular, it's within the capsule. And it attaches onto what in the capsule? Labrum. It goes into the labrum. The labrum, remember the golf tee idea? It helps make that, this is now a review session. It makes the bowl a little bit deeper, the golf tee a little bit deeper, so the head of the humerus has a little bit more stability, right? You know it's pretty unstable because there's a lot of mobility, right? Those are always opposite in the body. Okay, so because of that, unstable, there's quite a bit of motion there, but that's the long head. So that's the attachment, or the origin for the long head of the biceps. The short head of the biceps, okay, is going to be on the, your oh so favorite, coracoid process. Okay, one of the many cora something in the body. Okay, so coracoid process. Okay, the coracoid process, again, bony projection coming anteriorly, that hook-like structure off the scapula. Okay. What else? Then both of those heads, or both those tendons, are going to move inferiorly and combine into the muscle belly, basically, right? And then the muscle belly will move inferiorly, right? That's where you see it the most. The bulk of the muscle, right, in someone's arm is really like in the middle of their arm, right there. You can clearly see. Okay. And then, moving distally, it's going to insert into a few different places. So, oh, can I remember this? Yeah, I got it. Okay, into the, oh gosh, do I know it? Yeah, into the, I mean, I know everything. I never review it all. Okay, it goes into the bicipital aponeurosis, which is the connective tissue that, yeah, I might be backing up and don't do this correctly here. Okay, here we go. So it's the connective tissue on the arm, and it's the mesh-like connective tissue that goes medially down your arm. So I wonder if I can even like show you here. No, not really. This isn't gonna work. No. Okay, well, yeah. Anyway, it goes down the medial side of the arm and meshes into the fascia, kind of in the forearm. Is really where it goes. Okay. So that makes it kind of unique in that sense. And that also is going to insert into the conoid process, or sorry, coronoid process. So remember, the coronoid process is going to be on our proximal, oh, I'm not driving anymore, I can look at you. On the proximal, oh gosh, I'm so blanking. Proximal ulna, right? Right, and it's going to lead to some flexion. So that's the process that then when you flex, what does it move into? As you flex your elbow, that process moves into the distal humerus, right? Specifically, it moves into that coronoid fossa on the anterior part of the humerus, right? So that's the motion that's going to allow it. Okay, so bicipital aponeurosis insertion, coronoid process, And as well as the key part is the, hope coronoid process is right. I think that's right. If it's wrong, don't sue me or quit the video. Going into the radial tuberosity. That's the key one. So the little tuberosity on the medial aspect of that radius. So if you can imagine, a little piece of the muscle comes down, and inserts into that projection on the medial side of that bone. So this is really key because one of the actions of the biceps, which I haven't said yet, is going to be supination. Okay, so you see in the gym all the time people do different curls with a dumbbell, right? So they'll do like preacher curls or these different curls, some of them adding that supination motion as they curl. So the reason why they're doing that is to try to get in all the motions of that bicep. So they're not only flexing the elbow, they're also supinating it. Because that supination is also occurring, what it's doing is also turning or pivoting that radius in what joint? Ooh, review time. Proximal radial ulnar joint, right? So the radius is pivoting within which ligament? Annular ligament, right? In the radial notch of the ulna, right? The radial head's pivoting in that. Oh, this is good teaching. You got to pay me for this. This is like weekend review, and I'm loving this. This is so much fun. Hope you're going to watch this too after the fact. So again, the biceps goes into radial tuberosity, okay? Produces a turning, right, or a pivoting motion, so it leads to supination. Okay, so bicipital aponeurosis, radial tuberosity, and coronoid process. So it's three of those. It leads to, I don't think coronoid process is right. I'm gonna let that go. Stay with that. I think that's right. Well, we'll find out. We get bad comments. So those are the insertions. Okay. So origins, long head goes into the labrum. Oh, so technically, I didn't say this. Technically, the superior or the long head origin site is the supraglenoid tubercle. So it attaches to the labrum, but then the labrum attaches onto that supraglenoid tubercle. So technically, this long head actually attaches directly onto that supraglenoid tubercle. So remember, glenoid fossa, right? You have a superior and inferior little part of that fossa. Right, so the one up here, works nice, is the supraglenoid tubercle. So long head comes down, attached to the labrum, also attaches onto this superior supraglenoid tubercle. And then short head, coracoid process, inserting into what I said before. Actions are going to be a few different things, because this muscle is unique because it crosses two joints. What I mean by that is it crosses the shoulder here, because it goes across over top of that glenohumeral joint technically, right? Because it goes to the scapula, to the supraglenoid tubercle, right? So because it's crossing that joint and the elbow joint, we'll use elbow layman's, it's going to do different motions there. Plus, it goes on the radius. What a special muscle, right? This is why we flex it, right? The only reason, right? So in that condition, it's going to do different motions at those two joints. So at the shoulder, it's actually going to lead to some shoulder flexion. Because if that muscle shortens, imagine a string again, it's going to do, ooh, can I do this? It's going to do flexion if it shortens. And then obviously the main motion you see all the time at the gym is going to be elbow flexion, right? It shortens, it's going to flex the elbow. Remember, again, origin is at the shoulder, insertion down at the elbow or forearm area, right? And then it's also going to do, like I said, that supination motion. So shoulder flexion, elbow flexion, supination. The main motion, what you're going to resist is going to be elbow flexion. That's the main motion you think of. That's the main motion this muscle does. But to confirm it, you're going to do this in seated or supine if you want. Okay, you're going to have the arm into slight. What's the motion of the shoulder? Motion of the shoulder is slight flexion. So you'll have them into slight flexion. Okay. Pillow in the lap again. Okay, you're going to do also just very slight flexion, not a ton. You're going to have them in a supinated or pronated position to make the muscle short. Think about this. To make the muscle short, you're going to have them in a fully supinated position, right? Okay, hand up, palm up. And then you're going to resist flexion. Okay? All right. I'm leaving now. See you guys.